Hey YouTube, good morning and welcome to the Reptile Barn. Today's vlog, I wanted to talk about something. This has happened to us before. It came up recently. Someone was asking us about it, so I figured I'd talk about it real quick. What to do when your reptile escapes. So, um, long time ago, a year or two ago, I don't know exactly when, but a while ago, the backing piece that was just nailed on with little finishing nails to our baby rack peeled off and was just flapping backwards, right? We didn't know this because our baby racks are backed up to the wall of our snake room, but so we just didn't know. Well, our baby tubs that we just slide in and out of those slots, we did not realize we're no longer hitting that backing piece and we're going past the back of the rack so that they were open in the back. And we had like 13 baby ball pythons escape in our snake room. This was a nightmare. Many people, I would even say most people who have kept reptiles have lost their reptile before. They are just really good at escaping, and it's very difficult for us to be 100% meticulous and careful and just on it. No mistakes ever, right? Nobody can make no mistakes. So what do we do? There's a couple things. First off, check the obvious places because very frequently that's where they are, right? Curled up on something small, tight, dark space and warm, right? Under the fridge. If it's in your snake room, like my snake room's really warm, so they kind of just go all over. But tight, dark spaces are by far your best bet for most reptiles, right? They want security. So just that's the very first thing I do. Maybe plug up the underneath the door if that's the only way they could get out of the room. But again, you don't know that they didn't already get out of the room. So really, I just check the obvious places if it were me. And many times you'll find it. If you just look around your room, it's not going to be sitting out in the middle of the open floor, right? It's just not. So if I look around this room, there's some very obvious places that pop out to me under there, right? Definitely a place I would look first. Under the freezer, definitely somewhere I would look, right? So it's just use common sense, right? And you might save yourself a lot of work and trouble. However, we didn't find them all this way. I've heard people. Sorry, I don't mean to digress, but somebody once asked, maybe on a Facebook group, can I just put down sticky traps? No, don't put down sticky traps. Please don't put down sticky traps. You will wreck your snake, right? If it slithers across a sticky trap, you're going to really mess up or kill your snake. Okay, don't do that, please. Or your lizard, whatever. What we did, we put down big plastic garbage bags, mostly along the walls, places that the snake might travel at night, right? We covered them with a very fine layer of flour, something that's harmless to your snake. In the very center, we placed a bowl with a lid on it, but some holes so that the smells could escape that bowl full of pinky mice, right? So the idea is we want to know where the snake is, right? And we put these all over the house, really. The snake room a lot, obviously, but also out here in the lizard room, anywhere we thought the snake could have possibly traveled to. We wanted to know where the snake, or in our case, the snakes, are hiding. We're not going to catch them that way necessarily, but it helps us zone in on where they might be. And sure enough, come back the next morning, most of them, the flour is undisturbed. But on one spot, it was in the snake room, there were little slithery trails through the flour, and the bowl of pinky mice was knocked over, right? It had a lid on it. The pinky mice were fine. But So we knew, because we caught most of them. Like I said, look in the obvious places. Most of them hadn't even left the rack. They were just curled up on the heat tape in the back of their rack, right? But one of them was in the middle of escaping and was darting across the floor, and we grabbed it. But there were a few that we had to really search for. It only took us a few days to round them all up. And, again, another side note, miracle of miracles, none of them were the same morph. So, because I was just like, oh my goodness, what if a het ultramel and a het desert ghost escaped? We would have no way to know which one was the het ultramel, which one was the het desert ghost. We would have had to sell them both as normals, and that would have stunk. But that didn't happen. Every single snake that escaped was easily identifiable. It was like, oh, this is a super Mojave. This is a mystic potion. This is a normal, or at least a het, that looks normal. This is a desert ghost. This is whatever. And so, luckily, we didn't have to, confuse any snakes that looked the same. Anyway, so that is a technique that I liked. It was safe. It helped us kind of hone our search down to a certain area of the house. And we, kind of did like a super search in that area. One was in the wall. We ended up cutting out a piece of the wall and removing it so we could look inside the wall. And sure enough, there one was. But yeah, so that is, to me, oh, I forgot to mention, each night we would put really warm water into a water bottle and wrap it in a towel and put it right next to the mice. Our hope was that the heat would also help attract it to that spot. So yeah, very, very stressful when you lose your pet reptile, but don't give up hope. I had a friend years ago. He had a Mexican black king, and it escaped into their garage, and it was the middle of winter. Obviously, their garage is heated, but the garage door opens and closes. Now, of course, a Mexican black king, being a colubrid, is a little bit more cold tolerant than, if one of my tree monitors escaped or something, it's just going to die of cold. But they were really worried that it was going to get too cold. And after a few weeks, they were like, it's gone. It must have slithered outside. It's dead. It's gone somewhere, right? So they stopped thinking about it. And I want to say 3 months later, a really long time later, they just randomly found it. I think it was curled up under like a mat or something on the floor. It had lived that whole time. My guess is it probably ate a mouse or two during that time, because it didn't even seem super emaciated or anything. But yeah, basically it got a brumation period that year. I went out into the cold garage and curled up in a dark spot. But yeah, so don't give up hope necessarily. They are tough animals. They're not. It's not like they're just gonna die as soon as they leave their cage, right? But at the same time, be very, very careful. Like if you have, we have dogs, right? We were very worried that the dogs, if they happened to cross the baby snake, they might kill and eat the snake, and we would never know. We just think the snake was lost in the house forever, right? My little girl's behind me calling for help. Hold on just a second. So, long story short, there's lots of things to do. Please look in the obvious places. Again, think like a snake. Tight, dark spaces. Some snakes aren't great climbers. That doesn't mean they won't climb, but if you have a ball python, look on the ground level first, maybe, before you start looking up high. But think like a snake. They could go anywhere. If they can get to a small, tight, dark spot that's warm enough for them, they are gonna sit there and stay, right? Most snakes that escape are found in the same room that they escaped in. So they don't want to travel down to the next road or anything. They don't want to go outside necessarily if you're somewhere cold. If you're in Florida, Southern California, they might. But here in the States, these really tropical species, especially that we're keeping, they're not attracted to the outdoors if it's too cold for them, right? So even if they had access to it, don't panic. They very likely are still in your home where it's warm and temperature controlled. Anyway, that's all. I just wanted to give a few of my insights. We have lost snakes before. We have found every single one of them, thank goodness. But yeah, there's lots of things you can try. There's lots of people online with lots of ideas. There's safe live traps you can put out for reptiles. There's all sorts of things. So get creative. You'll be very happy when you get your snake back. The best is to not lose it in the first place. Make sure your cage has good locks on it, that your snake can't push through or wiggle out of holes or cracks or anything like that. But thank you for watching. Please leave your awesome snake finding ideas down in the comments. I really appreciate that. And we'll spread around the good ideas to everybody who loses their snake. And I hope to hear something that I've never heard of before as far as an idea for finding your snake. And thank you for watching. Till next time, we're the Reptile Barn.